Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure.
G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my movie reviews. Now it's Friday in Australia and that means it's Franchise Friday. So this week we are looking at the sequel to Resident Evil, Residentevilapocalypse from 2004. Before I get into that, I do want to say a big thank you to all my new and of course my existing subscribers. I'm seeing my channel grow more and more and I really do appreciate all of you, so thank you very much. Now, let's get into the film, shall we? The film was directed by Alexander Witt. It stars millajovovich, siennaguillory, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, odedferh, Jared Harris, mikeepps, zackward, Sandrine Holt, Ian Glenn, Thomas Kretschmann, and many, many more. Now, this has a huge cast, As do all of the Resident Evil films, if you really look at them, they do have a really good choice picks of their cast. And that can also be a downfall as well, because, well, we'll touch on that in a moment. Anyway, the plot, and there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the film, yeah, chances are you're going to get spoiled, so. Alice wakes up in the Raccoon City hospital after the area has been overrun by zombies, which we saw at the end of the first film, and this one continues on directly from it, and must now make her way out of the city before a nuclear bomb is dropped on. Yeah, that does follow in line with the game, and like the original movie, if you've not played the games, you know, it doesn't really matter. You can enjoy these films for what they are. But if you've played the games, Resident Evil 2 and 3 in particular, you know what you're kind of in for. It sort of follows, not the exact story, but elements of both games in the one movie. Much like the first film was set in the mansion, the hive and all that. This one takes its steps in creating its own new world for the Resident Evil universe, and it does it really well, so I'll give it that. Now, to give you an idea on, or a better idea of my thoughts on this film, this is my DVD copy here. Hopefully you can see that okay. If not, I will pop an image up on the screen. But last week you saw I had my Blu-ray and HD or 4K copy and my DVD copy of Resident Evil, which I really enjoy. As we move on through the series, they're Blu-ray. This one is the only one I only have on DVD. To give you an idea as to what I think of the film. It's not great, but it's not entirely terrible either. It has some good points to it, but it also has a lot of negative points to it as well, and we'll discuss them very shortly. Okay, so let's kick it off with the cast. Milla Jovovich reprising her role as Alice, and the movie delving deeper into her character, revealing more about the origins of her enhanced abilities. But look, even her charismatic performance, or her charismatic presence, really can't salvage the poorly written lines she's given. The supporting characters, including siennaguillory as, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right, I'm probably not, as Jill Valentine, and odedferh as Carlos Olivier, they suffer from undeveloped personalities, reducing them to mere archetypes or stereotypes of, you know, the characters that they're based on. The relationship dynamics between the characters are explored to a limited extent, and they kind of hint at things to come. But the emotional depth is often sacrificed for the sake of an action-driven plot. The dialogue between Alice and Jill Valentine, in particular, one scene where Jill Valentine comments, "I'm good, but I'm not that good," is a prime example of the lack of chemistry between the leads. It just feels forced, and it's very average dialogue, to be honest. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's part of the movie. It's shoehorned in a way. Now, the script itself, and I know this is part of the writing, but I'm putting this in with the cast for a very particular reason. The script itself heavily relies on cliches and generic dialogue, detracting from the overall quality of the film, and the characters' intentions, as I mentioned, they feel forced. It's these lines that are given by the characters that they come off unnatural and cheesy. And yeah, that's not the cast's fault. They are good actors in this film. Unfortunately, they're not given enough to work with, which we're going to look at now. Now, the directing and the writing. This is a huge issue for me because there are parts of this movie I absolutely loathe and despise. The effect used when zombies are lumbering onto the screen, upstairs, etc. They use this weird shaky cam style effect that is so off-putting, and it really comes across as the worst style of filmmaking I can think of. It's kind of like they don't want to show the zombies in full and need to hide them, and maybe that's the case here. Maybe the effects were so bad that they needed to do something to make them look better. They're basically covering it up, essentially. And that could be what they're doing here. But it is so bad. Words can't describe how bad it is. You need to see it to believe it, because it's just this shaky cam shit. The narrative, however, does maintain a brisk pace with enough action sequences emphasizing the survival horror elements that are intrinsic to the video game series. The movie does attempt to capture the essence of the games, and it does bring to life iconic characters and creatures, including Nemesis, who looks good in this. I did like the look of Nemesis, and I'll touch on that in the effects as well, but there's the incorporation of certain game elements, and a big one is Jill's limping movement, where she's holding her side as she limps along. That's when she's injured in Resident Evil 3, that's the way she moves. And it's great that they put that in there. The characters and it adds to the storyline for fans of the franchise, and it may be less engaging for those unfamiliar with the source material, but when you see little things like that, it does, it kind of makes you think, okay, they do care about the games. They're not just making a movie based on the games, they're actually looking at it, but they're expanding on it. So yes, like I said, there are pros to this movie. There is also a lot of cons. And the film itself does sacrifice suspense and tension for a more straightforward action-driven approach. And it misses that opportunity to delve into the psychological horror elements that makes a game so memorable. But it does keep it in line with the feel that was set in the first movie as well. So while the film boasts visually appealing set pieces and some pretty good action sequences, it occasionally sacrifices substance for what passes as style. Like I said, certain visual elements are terrible. The shaky cam effect really gets me. And it's this imbalance that can leave an audience wanting more depth in terms of plot and character exploration. Yeah, look, I'm sorry, I can't get over that. The shaky cam just really gets me, and that's one of the major things I hated about this film, was that effect. In the first movie, there was CGI zombies, You had that half-face zombie, which I mentioned, and it just looked terrible. In this, it's kind of like they're trying to cover that up with this effect, and it just takes you out of the movie. Okay, so now we're getting onto the effects, and I'm going to start out with the actual set itself and the depiction of Raccoon City in chaos. It effectively brings the apocalyptic world to life. It looks good. You've got a scene where Mikeepps' character LJ is driving around the city, and you see this desolate landscape, this desolate cityscape with hordes of undead, and it creates a really visually striking backdrop. You know, there are some interesting zombies in there. You kind of see these two stripper zombies, so yeah, it's got that. And the makeup and prosthetics for various mutated creatures are commendable, and they do stay true to the grotesque and nightmarish design from the games, but as I mentioned, a lot of it's hidden behind that really annoying camera work, so I can't really comment too much on the effects overall because you miss out on a lot of it. That being said, Nemesis looks good. The look on its face, like the makeup effects used for Nemesis, and I get it was a really heavy prosthetic suit, but damn, that looks good. It does. It's the weapons, the look of the creature itself, the look in its eye when it recognizes who it was. And I won't spoil it for you, but it's pretty obvious if you watch the first one, you know who Nemesis is because they do put him in the Nemesis program. But yeah, it's really good. I did really enjoy that, the effects they used to bring Nemesis to life. Rewatchability. Now, as a fan of the games and the first film, I expected a lot from this one. Unfortunately, it doesn't live up to those expectations. The game Resident Evil 3, where Jill Valentine is the main protagonist and Nemesis is the main antagonist, is one of my favourite games in the entire Resident Evil series. So yeah, was I disappointed in this one? I was. But I don't want to give too much away because there are still 4 more movies in the franchise to watch. But like I said, this is the only one I have not upgraded to Blu-ray, and that should probably tell you something. Yeah. So far, not a good sign. Overall, Resident Evil Apocalypse does fall short of its potential as a video game adaptation and as a standalone action horror film. Lackluster writing, one-dimensional characters, and a predictable plot hinder the movie from transcending its genre limitations. It may appeal to die-hard fans of the video game series or those seeking mindless action, but it ultimately fails to leave a lasting impression in the crowded landscape of the horror genre. And like I said, I'm a fan of the games and the series movie, well, the movie series as a whole, but yeah. Look, overall for a score, Resident Evil Apocalypse gets a 4.5 out of 10 for me. There you have it. My review of Resident Evil Apocalypse. Am I being too harsh on this film? What do you think? I want to know because, like I said, I'm not a fan of this one. It has good elements, but overall, it's a very, very poor follow-up to a decent film that was Resident Evil. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below. Of course, as always, if you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button. It'd be much appreciated. Subscribing to my channel is always appreciated, of course. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I do release a new video, or if I'm doing a live stream, etc. All that stuff, it's all appreciated. So anyway, yeah, this movie's just messed me up. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.